perfect crackle every time. How good does that look? Are you struggling to get crispy crackle on your roast pork? Not anymore. I picked up this 2.3 kilogram pork loin roast from my butcher, Nick, out at Gippsland Premium Meats. Now, I normally pre-order my pork through Mick, that way I don't get vacuum sealed pork, because this process puts a lot of moisture into that skin, and we don't want that. So I'm going to show you how to prep your pork if it's been vacuum sealed, so you get perfect crackle every time. We clearly need to remove it from the packaging. Now, using paper towel, you want to remove all the moisture from the skin. Remove the string and get ready for a good barbecue workout. Now, if you haven't seen one of these, they're called a jacquard, and they have a bunch of tiny little spikes on them. And we're going to use this to stab all over the skin. And what this is going to do is create little holes through the skin and allow the moisture to escape while we're cooking it. And once you've stabbed it and can't stab no more, we need to flip the pork over. Just wipe the board down, place the pork down. We want to cover the meat with cling wrap. This is going to prevent the meat from drying out. Then we need some flexible metal around the pork. Flip that over. And then you just want to crunch the foil up, making a little boat, making sure nothing is covering the skin. Give the skin another wipe down with paper towel, and then pop this uncovered in your fridge for 2 nights. Now, if you're not following this how-to on pork crackle, that should be illegal. Did you know you can buy a 0 alcohol beer? Not this one. Better Beer do make one, but not this one. It's 2 days later, and look at that skin. It's nice and hard after drying out in the fridge for the last couple of days. But if you find on the big day your skin is still a little soft and wet, place it on a counter and direct a fan over it. Like my new little toy, the Turbojet. Its powerful little motor really packs the punch. It works better if you point it at the pork though. Today, I'm going to be using the ADBO World Aspire range outdoor kitchen to cook this pork roast. And I'll be pairing it up with some liquid charcoal. As with any hooded barbecue, you want to lift the lid before igniting it. Today, we're going to use the 2 left burners and the 2 right burners to reach our desired temp of 240 degrees Celsius. Close the lid and we're going to monitor the temp on the lid thermometer. We just adjust the knobs until we settle on our target temp. Don't forget to carefully put your grill back in. Liquid charcoal comes in natural form through a pipeline or in gas bottles for your convenience. Cooking time for this recipe will be 2 hours, or for those of you who love to use my beer timer, you're looking at a 4 beer cook. So beer me up with a better beer. The pork has been in the fridge for the last 2 days, but why is that so important? It helps dry out the skin so we can perfect that crackle that we all desire. But why did we wrap it in cling wrap and flexible metal? No reason, I just wanted to see if you'd actually do it. Actually, the flexible metal was only there to hold the cling wrap in place, and the cling wrap went on there to stop that meat from drying out in this process. Now, let's season this pork and keep it nice and simple. Now, flip it over onto a wire rack, and we want to put it on the wire rack because we've spent 2 days drying out that skin and we don't want it getting wet. Off comes the foil and the cling wrap. Glove up one hand, drizzle over a little bit of olive oil and rub that just into where the meat is. Now with the meat lightly oiled, we can season it, and we're going simple with some SPG or salt, pepper, garlic. Sergeant seasoning on board for action, enemy acquired, preparing to salt. Enemy advancing, reloading with pepper. They just won't stop, finishing off with garlic. Once the meat's all seasoned, we can flip the pork over to expose the skin again. Just to ensure we haven't got any moisture on the skin, just give it another wipe down with some paper towel. And if you want, glove up. And we're going to give the skin a light coating of oil. Just rub that in. And then just sprinkle this with some salt flakes to season. That's it. The light coating of oil is purely to allow the salt to stick to that skin for seasoning. Once the barbecue's at temp, we can place the pork roast into the middle of the cooking rack, adding an internal temp probe into the thickest part of the meat, and we'll set a target temp of 70 degrees Celsius internally. Close the lid, set a timer for 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, we are going to create that perfect crispy crackle that you so desire. So no peeking. All you need to make crispy, crunchy pork skin is dry skin and high heat. That's it. 45 minutes has passed and we should have created crispy pork skin. You want to have a quick peek? Woo! The internal temp of the pork roast is sitting at 46 degrees Celsius and we want to keep cooking it, but we don't want to burn that skin now. So we're going to drop the temperature. How? We're going to turn off the inner left and right burners, just adjusting the outside burners so we get a cooking temp now of 165 degrees Celsius to ride out the rest of the cook until we reach 70 degrees internally. With pork, the average roasting times are around 50 minutes per every kilogram of meat. But it's always best to use an internal temp probe to track your meat's internal temperature. That way you'll always end up with perfectly cooked meat. The internal temp of the pork has reached our desired temp of 70 degrees Celsius. So we can just carefully get it out of the barbecue, remembering there's going to be a lot of hot fat in that tray, so don't go throwing it around. Now I'm just going to transfer that to a chopping board and we're going to let that rest uncovered for 23 minutes. Why 23 minutes and why uncovered? Because it is recommended to rest your meat for 1 minute per 100 grams. 2.3 kilogram roast, 23 minutes. And we don't want to cover it up because we don't want to steam it and lose all that crackle that we just spent 2 hours creating. By lowering the roasting temp once we've achieved the crackle, this just allows all the connective tissue in that meat time to render down and break down, giving us a nice succulent meat and crispy crackle. Resting time is over. And the results, super tasty, not dry, crispy crackle, and super moist. Smart!